I pulled into my driveway and saw strangers on my porch. Kids I didn't recognize were fishing off the dock I built with my own hands. Their parents were grilling burgers on my deck, laughing like they owned the place. That's when I knew my daughter had finally done it. She'd stolen my house. I'm Harold Pierce, 58 years old, and this is how I learned that blood doesn't always mean family. Let me back up to where this all started. The voicemail came on a Tuesday evening at 6:47. I know the exact time because I was standing at my stove stirring a pot of beef stew. Linda's recipe that I'd been making every week since she passed 2 years ago. The phone was on speaker because my hands were busy, and then Jennifer's voice filled my kitchen like ice water. "Hey, Dad. Listen, Ryan and I were talking and we think this summer it might be best if you don't come up to the lake house. You know, the kids are getting older. They want to bring friends, and Ryan's parents are flying in from Denver. There's just not enough room, you understand, right? We'll figure out another time. Love you. Click. No waiting for an answer. No discussion. Just my own daughter telling me not to come to the house I built with my dead wife's insurance money and 14 months of my own sweat." I turned off the stove and sat down hard in Linda's chair by the window. The beef stew could wait. Hell, everything could wait while I tried to wrap my head around what just happened. See, I spent 35 years working construction in Atlanta. Started as a laborer when I was 23, worked my way up to foreman at Reliable Construction Company. I've built everything from strip malls to office buildings, supervised crews of 20 guys, managed million-dollar projects. But nothing, and I mean nothing, meant more to me than that lake house. Linda and I were married 36 years when the breast cancer took her. Stage 4 by the time they caught it. Those last months in the hospital, when the pain meds made her drowsy, she'd squeeze my hand with what little strength she had left and say, "Hal, promise me you'll build that place on the lake. Somewhere the grandkids can fish. Somewhere we can all be together." I promised her. A man keeps his word, especially to his dying wife. After the funeral, I took the $180,000 life insurance payout, money that felt like blood money at the time, and started looking for land. Found a lot on Lake Lanier about 90 minutes north of Atlanta. Cost me $95,000 for 3/4 of an acre with 150 feet of waterfront. The previous owner was an old farmer who needed the money more than the memories. Then I did what I knew how to do. I built something that would last. I hired Carl Rodriguez, my old crew chief, to help with the heavy structural work, but mostly I did it myself. Every weekend, every holiday, every vacation day I had coming. I'd drive up Friday after work with my truck, loaded down with materials and tools, sleep in a tent the first few months until I got the frame up and a roof over my head. The foundation took me 3 weeks. I dug it by hand in the Georgia clay, fighting tree roots and rocks the size of bowling balls. Set the forms, poured the concrete myself. Carl kept telling me I was crazy, that I could hire a crew to do it faster, but this wasn't about fast. This was about building something right. Something that would honor Linda's memory. The framing went up in July heat that would make a salamander sweat. I'd start at sunrise, work until the sun got too brutal around noon, then sit in whatever shade I could find and drink water until I could see straight, then back to work until dark. Carl would show up weekends with his son Miguel, and the 3 of us would make real progress. By September, I had walls. By November, a roof. The whole time I kept Linda's picture tacked to a piece of plywood. Our 25th anniversary photo where she's laughing at something I said that neither of us could remember. Every morning I'd look at that picture and say, "Another day closer, honey." The interior work took me through the winter. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, open kitchen and living area. Nothing fancy, but solid. Pine floors throughout because Linda always said hardwood felt like home under your feet. Stone fireplace because she loved the smell of wood smoke. Wraparound porch facing west, so we could watch the sunset without craning our necks. The dock was the last thing I built. Come spring, treated lumber, galvanized bolts. Built to last through Georgia storms and summer heat. I carved Linda's initials and mine into the corner post where they wouldn't fade. LP plus HP, surrounded by a heart like we were teenagers again. Took me 14 months total. When I finally set that last board, I stood on the porch with Linda's picture in my hands and said, "Here it is, honey, just like you wanted." I swear I could hear her laughing on the wind across the water. I named it Linda's Rest, though I never put up a sign, just something I called it in my heart. The first summer, 2022, was everything Linda would have dreamed of. Jennifer brought her 3 kids, Emma, Tyler, and little Sophie, who was just 8. My son Danny drove up from Macon with his wife Rebecca. Even my brother Eddie came all the way from Tampa. The grandkids caught their first base off my dock. Jennifer helped me grill burgers on the deck I'd built with my own hands. We sat on the porch until midnight, talking about everything and nothing, watching fireflies dance over the water like tiny lanterns. Danny played his guitar while the kids roasted marshmallows. Eddie told the same stories about our childhood that made us all laugh until our sides ached. It was perfect. It was family. It was exactly what Linda had envisioned during those long nights in the hospital when we'd planned this place room by room, dream by dream. But then the second summer came and things started changing in ways I couldn't quite put my finger on at first. Jennifer's husband, Ryan, he's a real estate lawyer, the kind who wears expensive suits and thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room. Second summer, he starts making suggestions about the place. The dock should be extended for better boat access. The electrical panel needs upgrading for safety reasons. The guest room would work better as a home office since he's working remotely now. Just thinking ahead, Harold, he'd say with that smile lawyers practice in the mirror. Liability issues, property values, these things matter. I'd nod and say I'd think about it, but something felt off. This was my house, built with my money, my sweat, my memories of Linda. Why was my son-in-law making improvement plans like he was planning to live there? I started noticing other changes too. Jennifer stopped asking if I needed help in the kitchen when I was cooking for everyone. She'd sit on the porch scrolling through her phone while I prepped meals for 8 people. Ryan would disappear for hours making urgent work calls that somehow always happened during family time. The kids still loved the place. They'd be out on the dock at sunrise trying to catch whatever was biting, or swimming until their lips turned blue. But there was a distance growing between me and Jennifer that I couldn't explain. She'd answer my questions with one-word responses. She'd take the kids out on rented pontoon boats without asking if I wanted to come along. The breaking point came at Thanksgiving that year at my house in Atlanta. After dinner, Jennifer pulled me aside in the kitchen while everyone else was watching football. "Dad," she said, using that tone people use when they're about to ask for something big. "Ryan and I were talking and we think it might make sense to put the lake house in our names, for estate planning purposes. Tax efficiency." I set down the dish towel I was holding and looked at her. Really looked at her. This was my daughter, the little girl I'd taught to use a hammer when she was 10, who used to help me fix things around the house every Saturday morning. Now she was standing in my kitchen talking about taking away the house I'd built with Linda's insurance money like she was discussing the weather. "The house is in my name," I said. "That's where it's going to stay." She gave me that practiced smile she'd learned from Ryan. "Dad, we just want to help. You're not getting any younger, and managing property can be complicated. We use it more than anyone else anyway. I built it," I said, "with my own hands, with money from your mother's life insurance. I know, Dad, and it's beautiful. But think about the future. Think about what's practical." I thought about Linda, about those nights in the hospital when we'd planned every room, every board foot of lumber. I thought about the 14 months I'd spent turning dirt and dreams into something real. "It stays in my name, Jennifer." She shrugged like it didn't matter, but I saw something flash in her eyes. "Okay, Dad, just trying to help." 2 weeks later, I got a letter from Whitman and Associates, a law firm in Buckhead. Official letterhead, fancy legal language, but the message was clear. They were recommending a voluntary transfer of property ownership from me to Jennifer and Ryan Mitchell Peirce for optimal estate management and tax planning. There was a signature line waiting for me at the bottom. I read that letter 3 times, then folded it and put it in my filing cabinet next to Linda's death certificate. I didn't call Jennifer. I didn't call the lawyers. I sat in Linda's chair by the window and let myself feel every layer of what was happening. My daughter had hired lawyers to take my house. The house I'd built board by board in memory of her mother. The house where Linda's picture still sat on the mantel and her initials were carved into the dock post. That's when I started paying closer attention to everything. The phone calls became less frequent. When Jennifer did call, every conversation somehow circled back to the lake house. "Ryan's parents want to come for Easter." Not asking, telling. "We had the HVAC serviced, hope you don't mind. The property taxes are due. We can handle that if you want." Each conversation felt like another small claim on something that wasn't theirs to claim. In March, Ryan called me directly for the first time in months. He wanted to discuss property improvements he thought were necessary. New windows for energy efficiency. A security system because break-ins were becoming common in lake communities. Upgraded electrical because the current system was probably not up to code. I know a contractor who could handle everything, he said. Good friend of mine from law school, he'd give us a fair price. Us? I said. Well, you know what I mean. The family property, I told him I'd think about it, but something in his voice made my skin crawl. This wasn't about improvements. This was about getting their people, their contractors, their fingerprints all over my house. April came, and with it the phone call that changed everything. Dad, we're having new locks installed at the lake house, Jennifer said. Security upgrade. Ryan insists after that break-in at the Morrison place last month. What break-in? I didn't hear about any break-in. Oh, it was in the neighborhood newsletter. Anyway, we'll get you new keys. Except they didn't. When I drove up the first weekend in May to do some routine maintenance, check the dock bolts, clear winter debris from the gutters, my key didn't work. I stood on the porch I'd built with my own hands, looking through the window at the stone fireplace I'd mortared myself, holding a useless piece of metal. I called Jennifer from the driveway. Oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. Ryan must have mixed up the keys when he picked them up. I'll get you the right one and mail it this week. She never mailed it. I drove back to Atlanta that afternoon with my toolbox unused in the truck bed and a knot in my stomach that felt like swallowing broken glass. That night I called my attorney, Patricia Coleman. She'd handled Linda's will and the life insurance paperwork. Patricia, I need to ask you something about property law. What's going on, Harold? I told her everything. The letter from the lawyers, the lock situation, the systematic way Jennifer and Ryan were taking control of my house. Harold, she said, when I finished, they have absolutely no legal right to that property. It's deeded in your name only. You never signed any transfer documents, correct? Correct. Then what they're doing borders on harassment, possibly theft of services if they're making improvements without your consent. Do you have documentation of your ownership? Every piece of paper, purchase contract, deed, building permits, receipts for every board and nail. Good. Keep documenting everything, and Harold, you might want to consider what you really want to do about this situation. That night I sat in my kitchen with a yellow legal pad and started writing down everything I could remember. Every conversation, every phone call, every casual comment about the lake house that now seemed calculated. I was building a case, the same way I'd built that house, methodically, carefully, with attention to every detail. Georgia's a one-party consent state for recording phone conversations. I looked that up on a Tuesday night while eating leftover beef stew and planning my next move. If I wanted to record my conversations with Jennifer and Ryan, I only needed my own permission. Good thing, because I was about to get an education in just how far they were willing to go. The call came 3 days later. Jennifer, but different. Her voice had that edge it gets when she's trying to manage a situation that's gotten away from her. Dad, we need to talk about the lake house situation. What situation? I hit record on my phone. Well, Ryan's been doing some research, and there are some real liability issues with the property. The dock doesn't meet current safety standards. The electrical system is outdated. If someone gets hurt, you could lose everything. Jennifer, I built that dock to code. I pulled permits for every piece of electrical work. That was years ago, Dad. Standards change. Ryan thinks we should get everything inspected and upgraded before something happens. Ryan thinks a lot of things. None of them seem to involve asking what I think. Silence. Then, Dad, we're trying to protect you. We're trying to protect the family. By locking me out of my own house. That was a mistake. I told you the key got mixed up. It's been 3 weeks, Jennifer. I'll drive down this weekend and give you the right key. She didn't. That weekend came and went without a word from her. But something else happened that weekend that changed everything. I drove up to the lake anyway. Figured I'd at least walk the property, check the dock from shore. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw a pickup truck I didn't recognize. Georgia plates, contractor logos on the side doors. 2 guys were on my roof, pulling off shingles. I got out of my truck and hollered up at them. What the hell are you doing to my house? The older guy climbed down the ladder. Roof replacement, insurance claim. Whose insurance claim? He pulled out a work order. Ryan Mitchell. Said he's the property owner. I took the paper and studied it. Ryan's signature. Ryan's contact information, my address. When did you talk to this Ryan Mitchell? Tuesday. Nice guy. Said the storm damage from last month needed fixing before it got worse. There hadn't been any storm damage. I'd been up here 2 weeks before the lock change, walked every inch of that roof, checking gutters. Nothing wrong with it. I pulled out my phone and called the contractor's supervisor, explained that I was the actual property owner and there was no insurance claim. Showed them my ID, my deed paperwork that I'd started carrying in my truck. The crew packed up and left. but not before the supervisor told me something that made my blood run cold. Your son-in-law already paid us a $2,000 deposit. Said he wanted to get started right away. Ryan had paid money to contractors to work on my house without my permission. He'd forged documents claiming ownership. This wasn't just manipulation anymore. This was fraud. I sat in my truck in the driveway and called Patricia Coleman. Patricia? They're hiring contractors, claiming they own the place. What the hell is happening here? Harold, I think you need to come in. We need to document everything and figure out your options. That Monday, I sat in Patricia's office with a manila folder full of evidence. Work orders signed by Ryan, the legal letter demanding property transfer. Recorded phone conversations where Jennifer talked about family property and liability issues. What they're doing could constitute elder abuse, Patricia said. Financial exploitation of a senior. Georgia takes that seriously. I'm not some helpless old man, I know that. But legally speaking, any attempt to coerce property transfer from someone over 55 could fall under these statutes. The question is, what do you want to do about it? I thought about Linda, about the promises I'd made in that hospital room. I thought about 14 months of sweat and sawdust, of carving our initials into dock posts, of building something that was supposed to bring the family together. I want to stop them, I said. Whatever it takes. There are several options: cease and desist letter, restraining order. We could even pursue criminal charges for the contractor fraud. What would you do, Patricia, if it was your house? She leaned back in her chair. I'd make sure they understood there are consequences for trying to steal from family. But Harold, once you go down this road, there's no going back. Your relationship with your daughter. What relationship? She changed the locks on my house and hired lawyers to steal it. She's got her husband forging documents and paying contractors with my property as collateral. If that's what she calls family, then maybe I need a different definition. Patricia nodded. Okay, here's what we're going to do. The plan was simple but thorough. First, certified letters to Jennifer, Ryan, and the law firm, establishing that I was the sole owner of the property and any unauthorized work or access attempts would be prosecuted. Second, new locks installed by my locksmith, with notice that anyone attempting unauthorized entry would be trespassing. Third, documentation sent to the contractor they'd hired, informing them that any future work orders from anyone except me were fraudulent. But the fourth part of the plan, that was the one that would really send a message. I drove home that afternoon and made a phone call to Janet Morrison, the real estate agent who'd helped me buy the original land. I'd kept her card all these years. Janet, it's Harold Pierce. I've got that lake house on Lanier, the one I built a couple years back. Sure, Harold. Beautiful place. What can I do for you? I'm thinking about selling. What's the market looking like? Oh my. Lake properties are through the roof right now. Pandemic drove a lot of Atlanta folks looking for second homes. What did you put into that place? About $180,000 total. Close enough. I'd list it at $310,000, maybe $315,000. In this market, you might get asking price or better. How soon were you thinking? I looked at the calendar on my kitchen wall. Jennifer had told me not to come for the summer. She'd mentioned the 4th of July specifically, some big family gathering they were planning with Ryan's parents. How fast could we close if we found the right buyer? Cash offer. 3 weeks, maybe less. Let's do it. I spent that evening going through photo albums, pulling out pictures of Linda at the lake house. The Christmas we'd celebrated there after it was finished. Her birthday party on the deck, the grandkids learning to fish off the dock. I packed them in a box along with the tools I'd used to build the place. Some things you keep. Some things you let go. But the memories of building something with your own hands, of keeping a promise to someone you loved, those stay with you no matter who tries to take them away. The listing went live Tuesday morning. By Thursday, I had 2 offers. By the following Monday, I was signing purchase agreements with a retired couple from Savannah who wanted a place to bring their grandchildren fishing. The closing was scheduled for July 2nd, 2 days before the 4th of July weekend when Jennifer and Ryan were planning their big family gathering. I didn't tell them about the sale. Why would I? They'd made it crystal clear I wasn't welcome at my own house. July 2nd, I sat in Patricia's office signing the final paperwork. The buyer's check was for $315,000. Market was even hotter than Janet had predicted. I folded that check and put it in my wallet next to the photo of Linda I always carry. You sure about this? Harold, Patricia asked. Never been more sure of anything in my life. July 3rd, around 5:30 in the evening, my phone rang. Jennifer's name on the caller ID. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Dad, Her voice was shrill, almost hysterical. What happened to the lake house? Ryan's parents just drove up, and there are strangers living there. They said someone sold it. Dad, what's going on? I let the silence stretch out for a good 10 seconds. Then I said, I sold it. Jennifer, you what? I sold the lake house, my lake house. The one you told me I couldn't visit. The one you changed the locks on. The one you tried to steal with forged contractor documents and legal threats. Dad, you can't just. I already did. Closed yesterday. Got a good price too. I could hear Ryan in the background, his lawyer voice sharp and demanding. Probably trying to figure out if there was some legal angle he could work. You told me there wasn't enough room, I continued. You told me Ryan's parents needed the space. You hired contractors to tear up my roof and charged it to my property. So I made room. I sold it to people who will actually appreciate what they have. Dad, this is insane. You've made a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was trusting my own daughter not to steal from me. We weren't stealing. We were trying to help. Help you changed my locks. You hired lawyers to force me off my own property. You sent contractors to my house claiming Ryan owned it. If that's help, I'd hate to see what you call robbery. She started crying then. Real tears or crocodile tears, I couldn't tell anymore. I love you, Jennifer. You're my daughter and I always will love you. But I won't be treated like some confused old man who doesn't know what he owns. I built that house with my own hands and your mother's insurance money. And when my own family tried to take it from me, I did what I had to do. I hung up before she could respond. The voicemails started coming within the hour. Jennifer, Ryan, even Ryan's mother, a woman I'd been nothing but kind to for 8 years. Some messages were angry, some pleading. Ryan left one that said I'd created a legal and financial disaster for the whole family, as if the whole family had been planning to steal my house together. Danny called that evening, my son, the one who never caused drama, never asked for handouts. Dad, I heard what happened. You okay? I'm fine, son. Better than I've been in months. Good. You did the right thing. Mom would have sold that house right out from under them the first time they changed those locks. Those words meant everything to me. The money sat in my checking account for 2 weeks. $315,000. I wasn't sure what to do with it at first. But then I remembered something Carl had said when we were building the house. Hal, when you find good people, you stick with them. Life's too short to waste time on the ones who don't appreciate you. I called 5 guys from my old construction days. Carl Rodriguez, obviously. Pete Warren, my old supervisor who taught me how to read blueprints. Tommy Nash, the best framer I ever worked with. Luis Morales from the electrical crew who could wire a house blindfolded. And Jim Crawford, a good man who'd been laid off when the economy tanked and never quite got back on his feet. How would you boys like to go fishing in Alaska? I asked each of them. 3 weeks later, we were on a charter boat out of Ketchikan. 6 old construction workers with rods in our hands, and nowhere else we had to be. We stayed in a lodge that reminded me of the lake house. Log walls, stone fireplace, the smell of coffee and bacon in the morning. Pete caught a 30-pound king salmon on day 2. Luis hooked into something that broke his line but gave him a story he'll tell for years. Carl and I sat on the deck one evening watching the sun set over the mountains, drinking beer and talking about the old days when work meant something and your word was your bond. This beats the hell out of sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves, Carl said. Linda would have loved this, I told him. She would have. But you know what she would have loved more? Seeing you stand up for yourself like that took guts, Hal. On the last night, we sat around the fire pit outside the lodge. Tommy raised his beer and said, "To Harold for reminding us what loyalty looks like. To Linda," I said, "for teaching me what home really means." When I got back to Atlanta, there was an email waiting from Jennifer. Subject line, "Can we talk?" The message was full of explanations and justifications. Money troubles, Ryan's job stress, maybe they'd handled things wrong. And then, buried in the 3rd paragraph, the real reason for the email: could I loan them $15,000 for the kids' private school tuition? I read that email 3 times, then closed my laptop without responding. Some conversations aren't worth having. I used part of the money to buy a small place in a 55-plus community in Roswell. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. Clean deed, my name only. Nobody else's signature required. I've got a workshop in the garage where I build birdhouses for the widow next door. Sunday mornings, the Alaska crew meets for breakfast at Cracker Barrel to plan our next adventure. Danny comes by every couple weeks with his kids. They call me Grandpa Hal and help me with projects. Last month, we built a tree house in my backyard, nothing elaborate, but solid. The kids love it, And it felt good to have small hands helping me measure boards and drive nails again. Jennifer and I exchange Christmas cards now. She sends photos of the kids. I send birthday money. It's not what I'd hoped for when I built that lake house, but it's honest. And sometimes honest is all you can ask for. If this story sounds familiar, if you've built something with your own hands only to watch family try to take it away, if you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your self-respect, then you know what I'm talking about. Real family doesn't steal from you. Real family doesn't change your locks or hire lawyers to steal your property. And sometimes the people who deserve your loyalty aren't the ones who share your blood. They're the ones who show up when it matters, who keep their word, who understand that a man's work means something. I learned that lesson the hard way, but I learned it, and I sleep just fine knowing I did right by Linda's memory and my own dignity. That's worth more than any house could ever be.